So I'm a feminist. My question is about the role of women, though. What should women's role in public and private life look like, and what are the material benefits of that?
Well, thank you for that. Can I take it? I don't even want to take this detour, but can we both agree on what a woman is?
Yes. An adult human female is a biological state of being that is also socially experienced. Can I please elucidate just one example of that social experience?
Yeah, I was going to answer your question, but sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So let's say you're a member of a tribe, and that in that tribe, you have the biological female anatomy, and in order to become a woman in that tribe, you have to also get a tattoo. That's a social experience that's mapped onto biological reality.
So can a woman have a prostate?
Can a woman have a prostate? Biologically speaking, a woman is an adult human female that has a biological reality, but it's also social experience, right? So I don't...
Yeah, it's super easy. Like, can a woman have a prostate?
So as per my definition of woman, I would say that people who have a prostate are biologically male, but they can sometimes be socially treated as women.
Okay, got it. So women can have prostates. Got it. Okay. So you're a feminist.
See, what's interesting is it's like, Charlie, does God have a prostate? You refer to him as he, right? Does he have a prostate? Does he have a vagina? What does he have?
Actually isn't just fighting for women, you're also fighting for men.
So, yes, men also experience harms from patriarchy, but I argue...
We're talking about the same feminism, though, just make sure. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, men also experience harm from patriarchal domination, but I would argue that those harms come from that system of domination itself. In the same way, for example, this isn't a threat, but if I reached across and punched you in the face, then my hand might hurt, right? So, are we understanding that there are, patterns of power? So, I would also fight for the rights of men as a feminist, just as I would fight for the rights of women.
Sure. Do you think women are happier than they were 40 years ago?
I think I would have a few responses to that. I think that women report more stress and dissatisfaction today because, not because they have more rights or because of feminism, but because they're under dual pressure to both excel professionally and also because of the domestic labor in homes that is structured around outdated expectations. So, for example, studies like the OECD's Better Life Index show that women's life expectancy, education levels, professional achievements have risen in countries with higher gender inequality. So I would argue that what you're calling unhappiness is actually visibility, because now we hear women expressing dissatisfaction, whereas in the 50s, we prescribed them Valium and we lobotomized.
Yes! Oh my God, she fucking nailed it, right? I mean, first off, you ready? First off, I take issue with the concept of happiness, okay? Because, dude, it's kind of a bullshit describer, okay? I mean, some people have more peace, right? But happiness is absolutely subjective. Like my mom was an abused woman in an abusive relationship with 7 kids. If you went to her and asked her if she was happy, she'd say, yeah. Why? Because she had to. She had to believe she was happy, or she probably would have done something to get off the planet. Okay? So this idea of like a happiness index is fucking bullshit. But I like what she said, though. What she said was so spot on. It's not that women are happier or unhappier than they ever were. It's just now you hear about it, okay? Because before, if women were unhappy, it was off to the asylum and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's really rich. I didn't know women not to complain 50 years ago. That's funny.
So he's got to respond to it with a trope. I didn't know women not to complain. Oh, so then you're saying women were just really unhappy 50 years ago? Like, dude, pick a lane there, fucking potato head. And also, you can't help but note, the minute he gets fucking wiped, he gets so bitter. He gets so condescending the minute he gets fucking slugged on, dude.
No, hold on a second. Why are suicide rates going up more for women?
I think that encourages...
Forget complaining. Materially, women are killing themselves more. Why is that?
I think that even if both men and women have become unhappier, men's suicide rates have risen as well, and that's also been exponential. Can you at least concede that feminism offers only one potential explanation? There could be also other explanations.
Of course, obviously, but feminism is the glaring thing in front of us, where we have fertility rates down, we have marriage rates down, we have unhappiness up, and we did something in the 1960s out of the universities of 𝗤𝗢𝗟𝗓 Friedan and Gloria Steinem and all these feminists that basically said, you're trapped in a home, go get a job, freeze your eggs, take birth control. And all of a sudden, women are way unhappier than they were 40 years ago.
Dude, women were not happy in the 1950s. he is so full of shit that women were not happy in the 1950s. That's a myth, okay? There were huge issues with diet pill addiction, okay? Women were stressed, were overworked. Many of them were in marriages that were loveless or they were being abused. It was a horrible time for women. Yeah, I know. Like his idea, the only thing they were in the 1950s, they were quiet. Okay? They were quiet. They didn't speak up. They didn't fucking fight back. They just acquiesced to getting knocked up by some dude in high school and then spending their entire lives raising his fucking brats, vacuuming the floor, doing his laundry, washing his undies, fucking picking up after his dumb ass, and smiling and fucking whatever, doing everything all the time until they were burned out husks of their former selves, sacrificing all their dreams and careers. And they just did it. They put up with it. They didn't say anything, but they weren't fucking happy. Like, give me a fucking break, man. In the 80s, I worked with some women that were in their 60s, okay, that grew up in the fucking 30s. I worked at UCLA Extension in the marketing department. It was my first office job. All the women in there were in their 50s and 60s. They used to tell me about the 50s. They were like, holy fuck, it was like oppressive. I couldn't even go work. I couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? If they did get a job, they got a job in a secretarial pool where basically they were just fodder for handsy men, okay, that like touched their private parts and whatever, did all kinds of nasty shit, and they couldn't say anything and they get instantly fired. So just to even get out in the workplace, they had to put up with like, you know, sexual abuse, dude. The whole fucking thing was like a sham.
And I just have to ask the question, why is that? Is it working? And maybe there are biological differences between men and women that we should respect, and that deep down a lot of women want to get married and have children. In fact, we should applaud it and we should support it, and we should say it means nothing if you're going to go be a CEO of some shoe company or be some banker in London. What matters if you raise children and you have something to pass down long after you're gone.
I think I would bring 2 points to that. The first one is just really simple, which is that you can ascribe liberalism all you want as the cause of the unhappiness. I would argue something else. I would say that it's certain economic policy that has very little to do with the social acceptance of alternative lifestyles. I would say that we can recognize that income inequality across a vast swathe of Western countries has increased, which causes all kinds of social ills, a lack of social cohesion, housing price growth doesn't correspond with wage growth, monopolies increasingly become kind of emboldened to interfere with politics, and monopolies don't prioritize social health either. I think that those offer more compelling reasons for a decline in happiness than an increase in freedoms, because just one more thing, on an intuitive basis, generally speaking, people want more freedom, not less.
Okay, so if that's true, why is it, do you agree that the happiest women of the West are married with kids?
I would have to look into it, but I think there are certain
and objectively we know that, right? The women with kids are not the ones tearing down statues, right? They're the ones that actually...
Dude, please. Dude, what an idiot, dude. We can objectively agree. No, Charlie, you try to slam that down. You know what I'm saying? I will say this. I'll give you this. If a woman has kids and the responsibility of being a matriarch for the family, and she is tied in, she is far less likely to admit she's unhappy because she feels like she has a responsibility to her children to appear happy and filled with joy because she doesn't want them to feel unloved or unwanted. So I don't think women with kids are automatically happier. I think they are in a position where if they are unhappy, it's real fucking hard for them to speak out about it. Okay? Let's be fucking accurate about that.
Have obligations.
Does tearing down statues correspond to some kind of smiles per capita data set that I wasn't aware of?
Again, it's like, it's a little bit of a one-liner. The happy and the grateful. The happy and the grateful usually don't go burn down Wendy's in their spare time, of which we saw in our country all throughout a single summer. But as a side note, you would agree, objectively, study after study, survey after survey, that the women of the West that are married and have children, especially a lot of children, are far happier than even the ones that earn more money correlated at the same age.
So I also don't think that happiness is a very good metric, and neither do you, because you think gay people shouldn't just pursue happiness by being gay. They have other moralistic considerations to be making. So I don't think smiles per capita is a particularly convincing way to measure whether or not we should encourage women to be autonomous. I think we should maximize agency within a fair system that has reasonable parameters because it's expedient, it's good for the economy, it's logical, it's the moral thing, because if we can't prove the material harms, we shouldn't discourage it. And also self-reported studies is a really flawed way to do psychology. It's the week before my university exams right now, and I'm standing here explaining the basic methodology behind survey collection in sociology, which you don't even think is a real subject, to Charlie Kirk. If I took one of those surveys right now, I'd check extremely miserable. But so would a Palestinian child who's been torn to smithereens. How are we going to measure?
You would say extremely miserable?
No, I'm kind of making a joke.
No, I mean, but seriously, like, hold on.
Dude, he just like, this guy, dude, is such a fucking dickhead, bro. Like, to him, there has to be a baseline for him. Is just married women are happier, and that's where we're arguing everything from. But it's like, dude, the more educated you are, the like more times you're going to experience unhappiness, because you're going to more likely be consuming more information. You're going to be more open to being emotionally affected by it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, your mood, the more educated you are, the more sorrow you're going to experience. And I mean, that's just a given, right? The more emotionally vulnerable you are, the more sorrow you experience. I mean, you can ask anybody who does a lot of therapy. After you go to therapy, it actually feels like you're unhappy more often. But you're not. You're just actually experiencing the full range of emotions. Before you heal, you tend to just cover shit. Oh, every time I feel bad, I go have some drinks. And now I don't feel bad. Or I sit down, I turn on Netflix. After watching 18 hours of the fucking, American Idol, all of a sudden I'm not sad anymore. But like, dude, you just can't use happiness as an effective measure of anything. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.